Okay, welcome back to the Weekend No Show. We are back, and this time we're out for blood. And I want to introduce my boy CL Smooth. What's up, man?
What's good, family?
And last but not least, the man known as the Insidious LAT. What's up?
Booyaka, booyaka.
Oh,
What's
I
up,
got I got a new nickname for Vel, man.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Wait, I wrote it down somewhere. Because you know how Vel, the Insidious one, you know how he be destroying his enemies and sometimes his friends too.
Yes.
His new name is Darth Velat.
Oh God, that's terrible.
That's not terrible. That's awesome.
Hey, that could really work, man. I think that could really work.
I think that could work, man.
Yeah, you could be the face of this thing.
I must break you.
All
right, back to the show.
Right. The show. Oh, I forgot about that. But on this week's show, Utah's proposed social media restrictions for children. We're going to be talking about breaking out of our reality simulation, and finally, TV reboots and possibly the Ryan Coogler X-Files reboot.
Oh,
but
shit. First,
yeah. Did you hear about that?
No.
I mean, I didn't hear about it until Belly proposed that. So let's start with the Utah's social media restrictions, though. Smooth, why don't you fill us in on that one?
Yeah, so I came across this on CNN. So check this out. Utah's Republican governor recently signed 2 bills into law, and it's going to sharply restrict children's use of social media platforms. Now, under this legislation, they're supposed to take effect next year, 2024. Social media companies have to verify the ages of all users in the state, and children under 18 have to get permission from their parents to have social media accounts. Couple key points: parents will be able to access their kids' accounts. The apps will not be allowed to show children any ads, and the accounts for kids cannot be used between 10:30 p.m. and 6:30 a.m. without parental permission. And the journalist that's wrote this article believes that Congress should follow Utah's lead with this law and enact a similar law to protect every child in this country. So my initial question is, what are your thoughts on this? Obviously, it's trying to protect children, but they're also looking to verify the ages of every user within that state. What does this do for individual freedom and rights? So that's kind of my initial, that was my initial concern when I was reading the article. Definitely want to protect the kids, but what do y'all think about that?
I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it. When I read the article, I was thinking, okay, good. I don't have a problem verifying my age. I mean, and then also, like the article said, most of these, they've already got all this stuff. The government has my age. The social media companies have my age. There's no point in me hiding that. So I really don't care about it. And most of the stuff they were talking about for the kids, one of the pertinent facts in that article where she was saying average 13 to 18-year-old spends 8 hours and 39 minutes every day. And she was saying that's more than a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I thought I liked it. I liked a lot of honestly, get some of these kids off the social media. Works for me.
I think it's bullshit. Here's the thing. Let people parent their own fucking children, man. I see what they're trying to do, but also it's like, listen, you know what? If I got a kid, I don't need the governor of Utah telling me or my kid, how much time they can spend on the internet. And as far as those kind of, make sure they're 18, it's not like they're IDing people. I've been on sites where you have to be 18, and they say, "Are you 18?" Or they say, "Put your birthday in it." And so it's not really stopping anything. An 8-year-old can be like, "Yeah, I'm 18," and it's not like they're gonna ID the kid. So it's like, it just seems like
no, they are now, though.
Policing. What's that?
That's exactly the point, is that they understand that most of the restrictions now are BS. They're proposing more rigid restrictions where this has to be verified. And
how do you verify it, though?
They know the kids just lie now.
You got to show ID. You got to show proof of identity, right? So that's my concern, right? That's and this might be a first time in no show history, me and Vel on the same side of a topic, but I'm that's my concern. I definitely want to protect the children. I think giving parents tools to because we're talking about kids who are under 18, right? So let's just to be clear here, um, giving parents tools where they can more effectively parent in this kind of day and age. I'm okay with that. But the problem is with most government stuff, it's not the stuff they are openly talking about. It's the stuff they slipping in under the rug. That's kind of like people don't really notice. When you're verifying a person's age, that's just one step from identity, right? So how are you going to verify my age? Well, you're going to need to see some ID. So once you have the ID, now you know exactly who I am. Now, the social media companies already have a bunch of information on us where they can pretty much pin down like our likes and dislikes and all
and
that
so
kind
does
of
the
stuff.
government too.
And so does the government. But now this makes it there's no gray area, right? You talk that stuff online about COVID or getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine or Trump or whatever it is that you talk about, and if it's not considered in line with the what's acceptable, they know exactly who you are, and
Which
this is
should be
like
fine. You shouldn't be saying anything that you don't believe in anyway.
well it was so I'm glad you said that, right? Because think about what we've all been through the last few years, right? They came out and said that we need to take vaccines to help protect us against this pandemic. The president of the United States said, I am not going to mandate that people have to take this, right? You're free people. I'm not going to mandate anyone has to take the vaccine. What happened? They came out with mandates, people taking the vaccine. People lost their jobs, right? People had to close their businesses. What happened online? People talked about, well, this may have come from a lab in China, other so-called conspiracy theories. All this stuff was considered toxic content, misinformation. People were shut down online, had their social media sites canceled, all that kind of stuff. To find out later on that a lot of the stuff had truth to it. And the bottom line is, this is indisputable. The vaccine don't work, man. The vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID, and it doesn't
That's
prevent you from passing it on.
it's not indisputable that the vaccine doesn't help.
No. I didn't say it doesn't help. It helps reduce the symptoms if you catch it, but it doesn't stop you from catching it, and it doesn't stop you from passing it on. It doesn't even significantly reduce the odds of you catching or passing it on.
Which they didn't say.
Right, correct. So
so
now this is not a rant against the vaccine, right? What I'm saying is they mandated a vaccine that doesn't do the basic function of what a vaccine is supposed to do. They mandated that. They told us you must do it, and there were consequences, right? So this, to me, is all tied. I know we're talking about social media here, but it's all tied together. The more power we give to the government, the less freedom we have. And so when I read this article, it's like I'm of two minds, because one, I'm like 100% protect the kids, but then the second mind is, well, what does this mean for everyone else, all of us who aren't children, about our freedoms, right? What's that balance between being secure and being free? And that's the thing that scares me the most.
Yeah, I'm not scared at all about any of that. It just it seems like a non-issue. They already know all that information, and on top of that, from what LAT was saying, let the parents parent their kids. Well, they're not good enough, and that's been true for a long time. People aren't parenting their kids good enough because we got a bunch of badass kids running around on social media. They need help, and where are they going to get that help from? That's what the government is supposed to do. It's supposed to step in and help its people. It's supposed to be there for society. And right now, parents they're not doing a good enough job. They need help.
So I'm gonna go ahead.
Needs to get done.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Here's the thing: even if they do mandate, that kids be ID, there's workarounds. Just like, hey, big bro, can I borrow your ID real quick? If you're 14 and you got an 18-year-old brother, it's like, yo, big bro, let me go on, I don't know, hentai.com or whatever. I don't know what the fuck kids are looking at these days. But so it's like, I get it, but it's not gonna help. It's not gonna make anyone safer. It's not gonna stop kids from from getting access, because
the most enterprising kids will always get access, and we know that from all the stuff we were able to pull. But I don't think that there's any system that's going to be perfect, which they aren't saying it's going to be perfect either, because they know that too. So it will stop those who, there's going to be some who are just like, okay, I can't do this. All right, I'm out. I guess I'll check back in tomorrow morning at 6:30 or whatever. And then there's going to be those who are like, no, I got to find a way around this. Those mofos, they'll have to do something else to stop them. But they're going to be an enterprising minority.
Well,
how about
JG,
this? How about you
Hmm.
just take your fucking kid's phone at 6 p.m. and not have the government have to fucking deal, not have, Big Brother fucking, do your parenting for you.
Man,
You don't want your kid on the
kids are
internet after
stabbing their
6.
parents nowadays. They're not taking their phone away.
What you mean you taking my phone?
Crazy.
You.
Now this way you could be like, hey, kid, Billy, young Billy, it's the government. It's not me.
Well, so let me ask you this, JG. Since you're wrong on this topic, I want to give you a chance to dig your
Okay.
dig your way out.
You know I'm editing all this out, right?
Hey man, listen. See, Val, that's the government censoring us again, trying to censor
Exactly.
the no show.
Exactly.
Let's separate the issue, because this is how they get over on us, man. They put it all together in one pot and make us feel like, oh, it's all or nothing. If we're talking about children under 18 years old, parents are still responsible for them. So I'm more open to giving them, more freedom, more tools to parent their children, because they're responsible for those children legally, right? So I'm with you there. My greater concern is now adults, all the rest of us, right? I don't need any other parents, and I sure as hell don't need the government to be my parent. The government doesn't need to know every darn thing that I'm doing or thinking and being able to control that. That's my concern, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel, JG? I think we're all on the same. Well, we're mostly on the same page with the kids. I think Vel is more like just parents do what you're going to do. But what about for other adults, where we're giving the government more and more power to infringe on our lives? What's next? They're going to tell us what we can and can't eat?
Yes, they already do that.
Well, so that
Yeah,
We have an FDA.
they actually do that.
I'm not talking about like trying to keep toxins out of our food and stuff like that. I'm saying more like they start controlling our behavior because it's good for us. I mean, do you want that? I sure as hell don't want that.
Yeah, that's just making up shit, man. That's just making up a bunch of shit, hyperbole. And this is what I see a lot of times on the conservative side. They just make up all this crap. What about this? What about this? And it's like, you know what? How about you come back down here to reality? They already have this stuff. They already have all our names. They already have all of our our jobs, our cars. They have all the stuff is registered. They have where you live. They have your height, weight. They have your picture. If you have a driver's license, they have all that stuff already. There's not anything else that they're going to get. I mean, what else are they going to get unless they invent a telepathy machine and they can get your thoughts, I guess. But aside from that, nothing else.
Listen, let me give you an example. Y'all have heard of Andrew Tate, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So real questionable what's happened to Andrew Tate, and just recently him and his brother were released on house arrest. Now, apparently he has evidence, right, that all of these charges are complete nonsense, right? Video evidence, proof, witnesses, everything. But he was held for, I think, almost 60 days in prison, right? And it seems like the U.S. State Department was involved in maybe potentially pressuring Romania to seize him up. And you have to ask yourself, is this related to charges which are, easily disproven? Or is it more related to that this guy has gotten an undue influence on social media, particularly with young men, and it's kind of a rising power group that is, going against government power and control, right? So that's my example. Here's a guy and his brother who have spoken out against government overreach, and then what happens? He ends up in prison on very questionable charges where there's proof showing that he's innocent of those charges. Now, obviously, I'm not in the courtroom and all those sorts of things, or there could be other evidence there, but it really looks like this is an example of government trying to attack its enemies. So that's where, you say they've already got all this information. What does it matter? We're blowing it up out of nothing. I mean, this stuff has happened throughout history. The government has enemies. They want to keep power. They think they're the parent, and they exercise that power. So,
And I gotta, it's not a hot take at all, but it's just like, I'm just gonna break it down to why I'm truly against it. I don't like the idea that I have to keep fucking, proving that I'm over 18 every time I go on fucking Instagram. So every day I gotta check in. I'm not feeling that. So,
I mean, is that how it's going to work?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I don't like that idea that,
I think
every day or every time I go in, I gotta prove I'm 18. Fuck that. That's
no, you're
that's gonna
probably
ruin it for me, and I'm gonna stop
what you're
going.
probably going to have to do is on initial sign up or initial creation of the account is do a photo ID with a selfie picture, right? Some
See,
other information.
I'm
Yeah.
already out.
But that's probably what you're going to have to do.
Too many steps. I'm already out. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to do some kind of a license thing for Facebook one time. I can't remember what that was for, but I do specifically remember
that was somebody stealing your identity, bro.
No, I had to verify for something. I got what I was supposed to get. I think it was a page or something I was trying to do. But yeah, that I had to do that. I'm thinking that for adults, it's going to be like, hey, verify yourself. I mean, how many times do you have to verify yourself for your driver's license? What 10 years is it? Or
I don't remember.
You show back up in 10 years and re-up, get another one. So to me, especially the Andrew Tate thing, look at Trump as well, where they're like, this is politically motivated. They're trying to get this guy. To me, it's like you are talking and saying things, and that's going to make people dig and find the dirt that is there. And I tend to not believe that this Tate has exonerating evidence, but I have no doubt that his running his mouth constantly attracted attention. And so be it. Hey, that's the smoke he was looking for, and he got it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when them AI robots show up at your doorstep, know that the computer operator behind the screen is going to be JG. Taking all your shit.
I'm fighting for freedom everywhere. You guys are just way out of line.
You fighting to destroy freedom everywhere.
No, I'm fighting for freedom of the children. You guys are trying to destroy the children.
Listen, dude, none of us are free until all of us are free. Remember that.
None of us are free until I am free.
Man, oh man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sad day on the Weekend No Show. I can't believe me and Vel standing strong, but JG, boy, that's
you guys are standing strong in the wrong. JG,
oh nice.
I have to hold down the fort on the side of right.
JG is that new dystopian overlord coming to crush us all.
No, I'm gonna move on to a utopian society, and I'll leave you guys behind. That's all. But speaking of moving on, have we run our course on this one? What do you guys think?
Yeah, man. Like I'm so sad already that let's move on.
See, I had to break out that truth and reality on you guys.
Oh, Lord.
I had to break it down on you. And speaking of reality. Now,
nice segue.
Are we? We've all heard how we could possibly be living in a simulated reality. Everything we see, everything around us, even ourselves, could be a simulation. And we've all heard that, right?
Yeah. Simulation hypothesis.
Yes, of course. So, but what I was reading is, okay, given that that's true, how do we break out of that? Now, just in the article that I read, the professor who's proposing this, he was saying there's some notable thinkers, such as Elon Musk says with 99.99999%, yes, we live in a simulation. Now, whatever you think of Elon Musk, I don't give his words much weight at all. But other people think he's a great thinker. So that's why I threw that in there. Somebody named Nick Bostrom, who's a Swedish philosopher, says 20 to 50% that we are living in a simulation. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's giving it 50-50 odds that we are in a simulation. A computer scientist named Hans Moravec, he says almost certainly we are living in a simulation. And then finally, astronomer David Kipping, he says that it's about 50% that we are living in a simulation. So let's consider that we are in a simulation. How do we break out? But why? And the one thing that really struck me about it was there is suffering here in this world, in this universe. Why should we exist in this suffering? If this is a simulation, it behooves us to break out, to end this, or somehow change it and make it better for everyone, because it's really unethical to run a simulation and have people in the dirt.
But listen, JG, they tried that. They tried to make it a paradise, but human beings couldn't accept the paradise, and they rejected the programming.
We know. Yeah, we can't help but remember that. And it's like, from what I was reading, the guy was saying, we want to break out because base reality is going to hold real knowledge, greater computational resources. We want to know where we really are or what we really are. And if the world is not real, then maybe we can break out and get access to this simulation and change it ourselves somehow.
So I try to break out of the reality through the use of marijuana and mushrooms, and it hasn't worked yet. But I think if I just keep at it, I'm going to break out of this reality and hit that other level. I'm going to get the glow, and then I'm just going to I'm going to reach that next level. So if this is not reality, then then I think drugs are the way to get out of it, because it's the only way to get your brain to shut off, or at least to disrupt the programming.
Well, there could be something to that. For what they were saying doesn't work. Drugs and mind altering states are one thing that doesn't work, obviously, because it's not shut down. But they were saying clearly knowing about the simulation doesn't make any difference. Communicating with simulators via magical thinking or praying out loud doesn't produce measurable impact. So what they were saying were along the lines of what you were saying, Bell. What if one of the things we could do, this is what they propose, we want to overload the simulation, right? So we want to get a bunch of people to meditate, 100 million people meditate, clear their mind. You're doing nothing. So the simulation now says, you know what? These guys are doing nothing. They're not using any resources. Let's move them over here into this area where we'll just pack them all in here because they're not doing anything. And then suddenly we change. We all jump up and we start becoming active. Well, now we've crashed the thing or got the attention of the people outside of the simulation. And that was one way that might work. And there was other suggestions of how we might do this, like create an AI. We're already in the AI age. Create an AI, watch how it escapes, and then copy that approach. Or we could just create more simulations, and then within the simulation, they would create a simulation, and within that simulation, they create a simulation. Pretty soon, it overloads everything.
Wait, why are we trying to escape from the simulation? Because life is hard?
Life is hard, and if this is a simulation, it really doesn't have to be. You see what I'm saying? Why would they do this to us?
I feel like
who's ever in control of my code is an asshole. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
Agreed. Your code is fucked up, no doubt. No, but seriously, I think if anything, if this is a simulation, it's a training ground, it's a testing ground, it's a place for us to grow and learn, and a lot of times that's through real hard times. So I don't know if breaking the simulation, it really helps us. I think probably, in my mind, the best solution is we make the simulation better from within the simulation by becoming better and doing better. You know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to escape it to some paradise. I have to think that we're here for some reason, other than to be tormented.
Now, along those lines, because you're saying, why would we want to do this? They propose that since we're in the simulation, which we have no control over, it's possible if we ever find ourselves in an even less pleasant simulation, those escape skills may be very useful. Tomorrow someone could snap their fingers and we could literally be in hell. And then we'd be wishing we knew how to break out then. So it seems like that, like if you're saying that, okay, we need to become better and the people are going through something, well, there's a lot of people who aren't going through anything. There's a lot of 1%ers people who are just kind of coasting through. So maybe they're the control group or something. They don't have to do anything. And the rest of us are out here.
We've reached that time again in the No Show where Smooth got to tell these guys what's really happening in the universe.
Oh,
no. Here we go. Jesus.
All right. I brought this on us.
You did, man. You keep opening us up to these topics, man. All right. So here's what's going on. I think that we reincarnate, right? I think we live many, many lives, and we continue to, every experience that we have, whatever we learn from those experiences is kept, let's say, in our subconscious. And then when we reincarnate again, our conscious mind isn't aware of that stuff, but that's our instinct, that's our intuition, that's kind of an inner wisdom, right? That might lead us in one direction or another, choose one career path over another, whatever the case may be. And so through life after life, you start to accumulate these things. So I think that people that might be in a particular situation, it could be that we have some choice in the situation that we choose, right? And we may choose really tough situations for learning reasons or other reasons we're not aware of right now. But it also may be a function of the knowledge and wisdom we've accumulated on a subconscious level that helps us to navigate life in more effective ways every time we come back. Now, it doesn't mean, though, that every time we come back, we're growing morally, right? We're becoming better human beings necessarily. It could just mean we're just growing in knowledge and rational thinking and reason and stuff like that, which doesn't always equate with goodness, unfortunately. But I think that's what I think makes the most logical sense to me. So we've learned in like science and physics that energy is not created or ever destroyed, right? So if we're elements of that energy, we never get destroyed. We just get transformed into different forms, right, as we go along. So that's why reincarnation makes sense to me. We just don't consciously remember it, and we continue to evolve and grow. And because we can't answer the question of why is there anything at all in existence, I think the creator of all this has the same question, right? So imagine if you had all this ability, all this power, but you have no idea where you came from. You'd probably start doing some investigations. And I think that's what we are. I think it's the universe, this conscious being trying to figure out what the hell is this all about? What's going on? And it manifests in this way. That's my spiritual perspective.
Yeah. About that. Mel, what do you think, man?
I mean, I think that this shit is all random and there's no higher being and there's no rhyme or reason. This shit is all just random.
So I tend to go that way. Yeah.
But that's, what, let me talk a little bit about what you were talking about, Clint, and that the idea of reincarnation. I don't know if I believe in it, but I had this weird thing with this woman I was dating where we kept crossing paths, but not knowing that we were crossing paths. So when we were in school, she actually lived in that town, but so we may have crossed each other during that period and just not realized it. So for those 4 years, I guess she worked at Burger King or something like that. And I was like, you know what? We may have crossed paths and just did not, connect. I was all about my Whopper. But so, but then so we ended up meeting in Tucson, Arizona. And so, as we're talking about our stories, she's like, yeah, and then I moved to Milwaukee and I worked at a bank on the east side. I'm like, I fucking lived on the east side. I was like, I used to get money at fucking First Star. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but I used to get money at that ATM all the fucking time. So again, me and that woman crossing paths. When I went to grad school, she was like, yeah, and then I moved to Madison. I'm like, that's some bullshit. I'm like, there's no way that you and I kept being in the same city at the same time. And then we both ended up she ended up moving to, I was already living and then she moved to Tucson. That's how we met each other, because someone's like, oh, she's from Milwaukee too. And so that's how we connected and eventually hooked up. But then we're talking about our stories and I'm just like, that is crazy. And she was like, well, maybe we're just meant to meet each other. And finally, the connection was made. So, and that was some trippy shit that kind of blew my mind, if she wasn't lying. And there's no
Man,
reason for her to lie about
she was just a stalker.
that.
You telling me this? I'm like, man, does he not see that she just stalked him across the country? Damn, she was pretty good.
But and to top that story off, once I moved to California, and this is what, I don't know, 10, I don't know, maybe 5, I don't know, maybe 8 years later, after Tucson, I'm not kidding. I'm talking to this woman who's doing a similar program that I'm doing, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm with this program," and I'm a nosy motherfucker, so I click up the program to see what they're doing down in LA, and I'm not kidding. She was doing that fucking program. So maybe she is stalking me. or
yeah.
maybe we're just, I don't think we're meant to be, we tried that shit and it didn't work out, but or maybe we're just kind of like, maybe we share similar energy. I don't want to start talking about fucking Will Smith, but that movie with Will Smith, what was it? The president name. He was a superhero.
Hancock?
Hancock, thank you. Hancock wasn't the president, but yeah, Hancock. You know how Hancock and whatever the woman's name was, how they were attracted to each other, kind of like Hawkman and Hawkwoman. So I was just like, so it tripped me out that I was like, wow, that's some trippy shit. And I was like, if we cross paths one more time, I'm not gonna tell her where I'm. We don't even talk anymore. But if I fucking run into her wherever I end up again, I'd be like, you know what? I think we're just meant to be together.
Man, you need to get a restraining order. I would go today. Just peace out.
Or maybe we share the same energy. Maybe we came from the same source of energy or the same bundle of energy, and we went off in our different ways. But I don't know. I'm pulling this out my ass. I don't know science, but the same matter is attracted to itself, and maybe that's how we keep ending up, because
Isn't that how those quarks? How they they separate those quarks, and then they can even be on the other side of the room or somewhere else, and they change one and the other one mirrors its state or something like that. But I still think one of those quarks should get a restraining order on the other one.
Well, listen,
that's an interesting idea, though. Sort of reincarnation, and also the idea that that everyone's energy and all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't believe in that shit, but you know what? There is some trippy shit going on in the world that makes me think, there's something to it, though.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, I guess we're going to say that I think that if we do have the opportunity, if we are in a simulation, then it behooves us to break out and see what's out there. What is the base reality? Because I want to know.
I got a blunt in the back right now. If y'all want to hit that higher plateau.
Yeah. I guess, man. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that after the show, man.
I'm just trying to escape this reality, y'all.
Yeah. You remember the movie Friday?
Yeah.
When them dudes laced Chris Tucker's joint with something, and he went tweaking down the street butt naked.
Yeah.
That's what I think about when Bill be talking about going on one of his trips. I was like, this dude running down the street.
You know what happens? I smoke that shit and I get sleepy and go to bed.
Yeah, I think that was a previous show for you listeners out there. You might want to go check that one out. Yeah. That was called Birthday Trip. But yeah, okay. So let's move on. Let's move on to something else here that I think we really want to know about is, we're kind of talking about these mind-altering things, and what does that scream to you but X-Files, right? You remember the X-Files.
Dun,
And
dun, dun.
yes. So LAT, I believe you had something about TV reboots and specifically X-Files reboot.
Yeah, so according to the Root, uh, they're thinking about redoing the X Files. And here's the thing: they're thinking about getting Ryan Coogler of Black Panther and Creed fame to lead that. And so I just watched Creed 3. Good movie, by the way, fellas. Y'all should check it out. Um, but so I think if Mr. Coogler has something to do with it, he's gonna do right by it. But my thing is, I don't know if I need an X Files reboot. The original is pretty fucking dope by itself, and I can go back and watch those old episodes, and they still stand up. So I'm just curious, and like everything's rebooting, whether it's Cobra Khan or either rebooting or reimagining Cobra Khan, fucking Bel Air, fucking Matlock, fucking Perry Mason. No, not Matlock. that was a joke from before. But yeah, Perry Mason. Like all these things are being rebooted, and I get, there's only so many stories out there. I get that, but do we need to keep redoing this intellectual property? And I think we're ruining what made it unique and magical in the first place. Like I watched Creed and it was good, but that shit wasn't nothing Meraki. I was like, I've seen this movie 6 times. So what do you
Right.
guys think about reboots? I'm not a fan of them.
I think if they're adding something to the story, like I'm usually not a fan of them like totally redoing the whole story with new actors, especially like you said, the original actors, like they did the thing, like there's no need to redo it. But if they're going to add to the story, bring some of the old characters back, take it in a new direction, give you some more to work with, then I think it's interesting. But just to redo it, I'd rather just watch the old one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the commercial reasons, you can easily see why they would do it, but a lot of times they don't ever bring anything new to it. And X-Files, I'll say that's one of those ones where it seems like it's something I should have loved. I loved a lot of it, but there was a lot that I thought was boring and I would never sit through again. And to me, I'm not looking for any more X-Files, but I hope it succeeds. If Ryan's doing it, then
Yeah.
that would be cool. And actually, I looked it up after you proposed that, and I did see that Chris Carter had mentioned that he spoke to Ryan Coogler about it and that he was going to be doing it with a, more diverse cast. And he was saying that neither him nor 20th Century Fox are involved in it because it's Disney. But he was saying that they're going to have their work cut out for them because we covered a lot of ground.
Oh, yeah.
So what new can really be brought into it? And one of the things about X-Files in particular that I didn't like was that, boy, they were certainly willing to just end that show and be like, well, I guess we'll never know. It's like, no, you better tell me what happened. And, I can just write that, hey, weird stuff happened and guess we'll never know. Wrap it up, man. And hopefully he won't do that.
Yeah, I think there's room for there's room for them.
Don't they just kind of and we're done? Isn't that how they tend to wrap up shows these days anyway?
I mean, most shows end up with some answers because they know they can't. After Lost happened, they realize they can't do that.
Now now that's what they should bring back.
Oh, hell no!
A final season, tie that shit up.
Of Lost?
Yeah.
I mean, that should never be seen again.
Oh, come on! Lost was the shit.
Lost was a load of crap.
I never watched it.
Oh yeah, don't ever watch it. Some of it was savagely boring. I mean, these flashbacks they were having, it's like, oh my God, I can't take these ridiculous, awful flashbacks anymore. And they're like, no, they're flash forwarding. Oh, it's like, no, now they're flashing to the side. Oh shit. It was bad.
Listen, man. An island full of fucking attractive people, fucking with their shirts off or in tank tops.
Pseudo attractive. I mean,
that was a fun show. Yeah, well, not a lot of them weren't that hot, but the ones that counted.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
like that Asian chick. She was hot.
So, speaking of reboots, well, this isn't a reboot. This is just sort of a continuation. So I've been watching Picard, or as I like to call it, Star Trek All Stars. And
You've been
I
watching
was,
Pew Card?
what's that?
Pew Card?
Q card? Is that what they call it now?
Yeah, it's called Pew Card.
Oh, puke. Oh, that's funny. You got me. Anyway, so I've been watching it, and I think this is the last season. And so I'm just like,
Yes.
I stuck in for all these seasons, but this season it's literally just like, hey, who can we bring in from all the other Star Trek shows just to do a fucking like a guest appearance? And that's why I'm like, oh, this is just Star Trek fucking All Stars.
Oh, Old
And
Home Week.
yeah, exactly. And you know, at first I was a fan, and I was like, they got me for fucking, was it 3 years? They got me for 3 fucking years. Fuck you,
No,
Picard.
I bailed
So,
out. But you know what was good was Strange New Worlds, man. I really
oh,
was impressed. I felt like Star Trek was back. And
see, I didn't even watch Strange New Worlds.
man, that last episode of Strange, if anyone listening, you may, when you start watching it, you may be like, okay, this is wokey dokey, and whatever. It's not that bad. It really, man, they really did something. They built up to that episode 10, and I think all Star Trek fans would really appreciate it. Whereas Picard, that first season was trash. I tried to watch the second season, I bailed. Same thing with Discovery. I watched the first season, it was trash. Tried
Hey,
to
I
watch
like
the
I
second
like the
episode.
first season of Discovery.
I only liked Lorca. That was it. That's all I cared about was Lorca. The Klingon War was trash.
I was a fan. And speaking of, back to the reboot thing, are we done with Star Trek and Star Wars? Or a lot of like, are we done with a lot of these these IPs? Should we
The
just let
only
them be?
we probably, I mean, my sister watches The Mandalorian, right?
Right.
And I was watching it at first, but then I bailed. The only Star Trek or Star Wars, I will watch is Andor. It has to be like Andor because that was brilliant. But anything, and Andor didn't do well because there's no Jedi's, there's no Force, no Darth Vader, there's no X-wing battles, things like that. And this was just how they're getting this rebellion started, and what has to be done to get this thing started. And to me, if it's not like Andor, I'm out.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, here's an interesting thing. Is there something that you guys would like to see rebooted that hasn't been rebooted?
That's a good one. Because normally
Yeah.
I am kind of against the reboots. I can't really
Something
think of.
something you think needs to be rebooted, like they didn't do a good enough
I don't
degree
know,
of
maybe
justice, or
needs or just something you like to see, how they would handle it now.
I mean, I would like continuations of things. To me, with the way AI is going, I've been saying this for a while. Why can't we have AI continuations of some of these shows? Like, why can't they continue Banshee? Just keep it going and continue Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Hey, just keep that going, man. That would
Yeah.
be pretty awesome.
I'm thinking they should redo the White Shadow.
Oh,
I don't
you
even
do
know what
not.
that is.
You're talking crazy now.
They need to reboot that.
The White Shadow. I don't know if that would fly. I don't know about that one.
What's the name of that movie with Lawrence Fishburne and Deep Cover? I don't know that you really need to, I don't know that you can remake that. It was so classic. But y'all remember that?
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, he covers the shit. Yeah.
That was the movie, man.
No, they shouldn't try to touch that. They'll just mess it up.
Yeah. I don't think they should reboot anything that's considered like
A classic.
pardon the expression, but like a ghetto classic. Like they tried that shit with Shaft, and it was trash. I mean, I'm a big Sam Jackson fan, but I was just like, damn, Sam, like you shitted all over what was already a pretty cool movie.
Yeah, sometimes they don't get it. It's kind of amazing how you think they would understand it. They're doing it for some reason, but they don't understand what made it great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of shocking sometimes how they don't get it.
Yeah. Can you imagine a reimagined Boys in the Hood? oh God,
Oh
it
boy.
would be terrible.
Yeah, I think so.
It would talk about black trauma. I was like, we don't need another one of those. But you know what? The way things are going, I would not be surprised.
Can they reboot Undercover Brother?
It's funny.
What about Pootie Tang?
Hated that when I first saw it, but it's starting to grow on me. Every time I see it, like on Comedy Central or something, I'm just like, you know what? This movie sucks. It's starting to become one of those movies that sucks so bad that I like it.
Yeah,
So the general, fucking Billy D's the general, the General's fried chicken. I was like, yeah. Like, every bucket comes with a 40 ounce. I'm like, oh my God, this is so terrible, but also hilarious.
Hey,
So,
that's not a bad idea. A bucket of chicken and a 40.
listen,
You speak my language right now.
listen, once we get off here, I'm warming up the air fryer right now. Once we're done recording.
That's exactly what I was saying. We got to get out of here because I got to make some of this chicken. So let's wrap this one up, you guys. Not to be extra black or anything, but I need my chicken. So, I want to put those stereotypes out there.
This is the extra black episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Extra black episode.
You better put the PG-13 sticker on this episode.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. So on that note, we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here. So please like and share and subscribe if you like this, and please comment. We would like to hear what you have to say about the stories we talked about today and what we said. Please, we're looking to engage with you guys, so hit us up. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get out, and let's say goodbye, guys.
Peace
Peace out.